wake up and find out that Gene Hackman is dead.
Yeah.
In his, what was he, 95?
Yes. Yeah. He wasn't exactly in the public eye recently, but it's still a bit of a shock, and maybe because of the circumstances surrounding, I say what happened, although I think it's fair to say we're not 100% sure what happened.
These details are horrific.
Yeah. So
if you don't know who Gene Hackman is, because I think some of the younger audience might not know.
You kids today?
Hey, I know him as Lex Luthor.
I was going to say, you being the Superman nut, I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
I think of him with the French Connection, which still holds up today if you watch that. What about the coach in Hoosiers?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Right? I mean, he is absolutely a star in more ways than one.
So, I mean, just an incredible actor, 95, married to a 65-year-old. And so, yeah, you're right, not in the public eye. But my goodness.
Kind of retired from acting, they said, about 20 years ago.
I think they were dead for weeks. They were mummified.
Yeah, so we have to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Mummified in 2 different rooms.
Yeah. Either a housekeeper or some sort of a maintenance person comes to the house and finds this.
Detective says that maintenance workers were called to they called the sheriff's department. The deputies arrived. They found a door that was ajar at the home, and then they made entry. They went in. They found a female, Betsy Arakawa, on the ground near a countertop in a bathroom. There was a space heater near her head. There was an open pill bottle with pills scattered on the countertop there. They found a dead German Shepherd dog near Arakawa. And then in a mudroom, they found Gene Hackman. It appeared he had suddenly fallen.
All right, so it goes through my mind as one of two things. It's either like a mass suicide, or murder-suicide, or you had a carbon monoxide incident.
Yeah. I would say, as of right now, if you were leaning towards something, this appears to have been an accident.
But there were
the space heater is a tip-off.
Why is a space heater a tip-off? That's interesting.
Because they can be carbon monoxide.
Oh, okay, got it. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, that could be the source of carbon monoxide poisoning, potentially. She was found by it. He was found in the room next to it, a dog dead. One thing, and again, I'm going off of reports that are citing police or law enforcement sources, that there was no obvious signs of trauma. There did not appear to be gunshot or stab wounds to the bodies.
Yeah.
That they appeared to kind of die where they fell.
Also,
and it was at least 2 weeks since anybody had seen them alive.
This was kind of interesting in that I think a lot of people went to that, they all committed suicide, including the dog. They killed them. But there were 2 other dogs found that were not
alive,
dead.
Correct. Yeah. Running around the property.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it could be just a horrible accident. It could be something as tragic as a carbon monoxide or gas leak of some sort. Now, the local authorities said they tested the area and there was no gas leak at the time. That doesn't mean there wasn't at the time that they passed away sometime over the last 2 weeks.
Few weeks ago. So it's really crazy that we talk about this because our son just did the paperwork. He's renting this really new he's moving from a condo in Dallas to now a house that he's going to rent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so we're on the phone with him. This is literally yesterday, and he's moving in. And I said, the first thing you have to get is a carbon monoxide detector.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was told to me many, many years ago by my dad when I bought my first house, like in 02 or 03. And he said, you have to.
I have 2. I have one in the bedroom, one in the main room.
Go get 2.
Yeah.
Put it in the bedroom. And so I said, you need to go to Home Depot today, not tomorrow. You go to Home Depot today because this is what my dad said. And he went and he bought these 2.
They're not expensive.
No.
They plug into a wall. You don't even need to wire anything.
10 years.
Yeah, at least.
And when it does, in fact, run out of juice or die, it'll beep and you'll hear it in the middle of the night.
Like a smoke detector.
Yeah. So that is a must. Like if there's anything you can take from this story, if you are in a house or a condo or whatever and you don't have a CO2 detector, that is absolutely a must. You need to go buy that today.
Yeah. I actually had the alarm go off.
I've had it go off too. And it's a little scary because you wonder if there's something in the house.
And guess what? we had a carbon monoxide leak, and so it worked.
Now, where?
It was an appliance, I want to say. I got to go back. It was in a house that I had, and I didn't feel like they say you could get dizzy or you could become you could just kind of fall asleep, basically.
That's what it does,
right?
Yeah. It's a silent killer.
But yeah, I actually had the alarm go off, and the alarm went off for a reason. It wasn't a big leak, but it was a leak nonetheless, and it was picked up by the alarm. So
we're talking about the horrific details.
I've always had them.
The death of Gene Hackman.
When it went off, Bruce, did you call 911? What happened? I mean, how did you trace it, or what did you do?
I opened the doors. First thing I did is I go, let's assume. Because I went and checked, like, if the battery was dying.
Yeah.
No, and it was going off. And it had a little thing on it. It had, like, a reading. It gives you a number, and it was a high number. So I opened all the doors.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we got to get air in here.
Yeah.
Call the gas company.
Yeah, and I want to say it was a gas or electric. I called one of the things. You go, I have a carbon monoxide alarm going off.
Gotcha.
They'll come over in gear.
Oh yeah, no, they showed up.
Yeah.
Cool. Good to know.
So when we first heard about the death of Hackman, CO2, right, carbon monoxide, that came into my head. You know what also came into my head, and Becky Lynn alluded to it for sure. I mean, murder-suicide. When you're 95 years old.
Right.
Okay. And I don't know what kind of health he was in.
I don't either.
But have you ever spoken to someone in their 90s? Because it's really interesting. The people I've spoken to people in their 90s, and some of them, they say, yeah, I'm just kind of hoping I don't wake up tomorrow.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
No, because here, and it's not like that. I've lived a long life. I've lived a good life. And we're not talking about somebody who's suffering. We're talking about somebody who's in their 90s, and you know what? They've seen a lot.
Yeah, but you don't take the wife and dog with you.
I'm not saying that's the case.
Right.
What I'm saying is, of course not. What I'm saying is, yeah, because he's 95 and
she's 30 years younger.
Yeah. And so what went into my head is there are a lot of people who are in their 90s that are very lonely. Their friends are dead, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have a lot of people around them, and it comes to a point when you're just like, hey, God, I'm ready. Let's get this thing going.
I'm not gonna lie. When I heard of it, my first thought was some sort of a murder-suicide. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
When you hear of a husband, a wife, and the dog, I'm like, okay, leave Gene Hackman out of it. Leave a famous actor out of it.
Sure.
But it seems like the more you see it, and the absence of murder weapon, the absence of trauma to the bodies, this could very well be just a tragic accident. And like you said, I think a great reminder of carbon monoxide detectors in your home.
Can't smell carbon monoxide. You don't know if you have a leak.
Yeah.
Some people have just gone to sleep and they don't wake up.
And don't wake up because of it.
Yeah. But being 95, I mean, to talk to a guy who's 95 is super interesting.
Yeah.
And you wonder,
And he'd been kind of out of, he'd been out of the limelight for quite some time. Like you said, I have no idea kind of where he was. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing that makes it weird is the pills.
That apparently she was found with prescription pills, quote unquote, like I heard the term spilled on the kitchen. So on the bathroom counter.
So I was thinking, did they all take pills, and did the dog? Did the dog just come over and the pills are on the ground, and the dog was like, okay, well, the dogs will eat anything. And so I was wondering if it was something like that.
I hear you.
But I mean, it's a terrible, terrible story. A great actor. And she was only 64, which is just super upsetting.
And a classical pianist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll find out. I'm sure we'll find out more.
More information, obviously, as we get it and we share it. But, I do think he's one of those actors, though, like you said. Different generations will know him for different roles because he had an acting career over 50 years, 40 years.
Here's Lex Luthor, a little bit of Lex Luthor.
Don't touch that. I told you. That's kryptonite, Superman. A little souvenir from the old hometown. I've spared no expense to make you feel right at home.
He played a diabolical Lex Luthor. He was very, very good in those first couple movies.
He was in Crimson Tide, Unforgiven. He won an Oscar for supporting actor, for goodness sakes. The Royal Tenenbaums, some amazing films.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.